preschool, they called it joyful noise. And that's a nice way. I love to hear the noise and the collaboration and making new acquaintances in our meetings. So welcome to the Rotary Club of Seattle. We are in our 115th year of existence as part of Rotary International. Rotary is the largest service organization in the world. I'm Nancy Cahill, the current president of our club. Yay. We begin each meeting with music and inspiring words. Our music today is led by Linda Ruff and Don Murphy and accompanied by Ryan Bunbury, followed by an inspiration by retired Navy Admiral Bill Center. After Bill's inspiration, past President Jim McCurdy will provide a special recognition of Neil McReynolds. Musicians?
Let's usher in spring with the words of Catherine Bates and the lingering vision from this weekend of our own Purple Mountains Majesty. Let's all sing America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self our country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, may God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine.
Please be seated. It's so great to be back with you. Some of you might know that in the ice storm in January, I fell and badly broke my left ankle. And when that happened, I had some commitments on my plate. Don's just about to sit down. I'm going to mention him, Don Murphy. One of them was I had just promised Laurel James that I would transport her to Rotary every week. And so fortunately, I called Don, who I know lives close to Laurel, and he has stepped up and been bringing Laurel in my absence. And now Don and I are going to tag team Laurel to make sure she gets here every week. It wouldn't be the same to have a Rotary meeting without Laurel. One of the other commitments I made was, even though I told you a while back that I wouldn't be at the podium anymore because it's too hard and dangerous for me to go up those steps, I did stay on the Inspiration Committee, and I signed up to do the inspiration for today. So it was a really strong motivation to get to the point, and this is the first time I've driven myself anywhere and gone anywhere without my wheelchair. So here I am. Yeah. I want to thank everybody in the club that sent cards and letters and emails and texts. It really helped me keep a smile on my face. Thank you all. In early January, fellow Rotarian David Woodward posted a meditation that he'd received from an Iranian friend on Facebook. I asked David's approval to share it today. David, thinking perhaps I wanted to do that in recognition of the Iranian New Year, which was yesterday, told me the meditation was not Persian or Muslim, rather it's a Catholic prayer of unknown origin. I hope you will find the words as timely and inspiring as I do. We pray for the power to be gentle, the strength to be forgiving, the patience to be understanding, and the endurance to accept the consequences of holding on to what we believe to be right. May we put our trust in the power of good to overcome evil, and the power of love to overcome hatred. We pray for the vision to see and the faith to believe in a world emancipated from violence, a new world where fear shall no longer lead men or women to commit injustice, nor selfishness make them bring suffering to others. Help us to devote our whole life and thought and energy to the task of making peace, praying always for the inspiration and the power to fulfill the destiny for which we and all men and women were created. Amen.
"50 years. Not very long in Rotary world, but 50 years. Today, we honor and celebrate the tenure of our 50-year member and past president, Neil McReynolds. First the who, then the why. The who. Neil is a Northwesterner through and through. He was born in Seattle, educated in Edmonds, and earned a bachelor's degree in communications from my favorite alma mater, the University of Washington. In 1956, Neil joined the staff of the Bellevue American newspaper. Does anybody remember that paper? Went out of business in 1976. During the 60s, he was editor of that newspaper and was honored with over 30 awards along the way. In 63, he was chosen as Bellevue's Citizen of the Year. From 67 to 73, he was press secretary for Governor Dan Evans. After that, in late 73, he joined the International Telephone and Telegraph Company in Seattle and became the official spokesperson for ITT, managing their public relations and affairs. He subsequently held executive positions with Puget Sound Energy and Kaiser Group Health, and served as an adjunct professor in the MBA program at the University of Washington. Why? Why Neil McReynolds? Well, first, two categories. Seattle 4. Neil ably served as club president from 91 to 92 and was instrumental in starting the club's first strategic planning effort. To his credit, Neil's priorities as incoming president then were forward-thinking. He indicated that he wanted to build on the club's rich tradition with lively and interesting meetings, non-traditional topics, more family special events, and increased sensitivities to the youth and minorities. He also wanted to attract a new breed of young Rotarians to replace those heading into geezerhood. I took this out of an article. He used the membership survey to keep things interesting and started a couple new things like the environmental committee. Never resting on his laurels, however, Neil continued his leadership with Seattle 4. A significant contribution and example of our club and to Rotary came in the late 90s, 6 or 7 years after he was president, in which he initiated the club's involvement with the program to help minority and women-owned business through the University of Washington Foster School of Business. He was founding co-chair of this notable UW program and had the lead role for its formative years. The UW needed experienced people as mentors, and Bill and club member Dick Swanson put their ideas together and helped start the program, bringing in Michael Verschow, who was on the staff at the U and has been a member more recently. That program has now grown to be a national example coming from Seattle 4. We're certainly grateful to Neil and his wife for establishing an endowment fund through our foundation to support the Rotary Boys and Girls Club. Outside of Rotary, he has been extremely involved in the community. Wherever he has lived, he has participated in the community. While he was in Olympia working for the governor, he was active there in the YMCA, the Boy Scouts, the church, the PTA, serving on the board of each of those organizations. He was chairman of the campaign to bring the Bellevue Community College to Bellevue, The Bellevue Chamber, Lake Washington Good Roads Association, United Way, and others have certainly felt his presence over the years. So I kind of concluded that Neil's been kind of busy the last half century. I should add that Neil has been nominated for an honorary membership in our club, and the formality of that process is underway. It will be finalized soon, and you'll hear more about it. Neil McReynolds, thank you for all you've done for Seattle 4, Rotary at large, and our community. I'm honored to call you a friend and exceptional role model of service above self. Folks, please help me in recognition of his contributions to making our world better, and join me in acknowledging our exceptional semi-centennial member, Neil McReynolds.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim, for the highlights of some of Neil's impact on Seattle 4. And Bill Center, once again, what a wonderful inspiration you gave to us, and just your presence here after your awesome recovery from your ankle accident is an inspiration to all of us. I do want to thank the music team and especially call out our special guest violinist, Sue Erber. She was amazing on that. Beautiful, beautiful rendition of America the Beautiful. And Dan Mead-Smith is our meeting reporter. Thank you for doing that for us, Dan. And Mary Goldie is handling our Zoom participants. So thank you, Mary, for hosting that. We have some guests with us today. As I read your names, please stand so we can introduce you to the rest of us. First, we have, in fact, Philip Shemansky from Edmonds Rotary, who is a visiting Rotarian. Yay. Emily Kupu, she's from Portland New Generations Rotary Club in Portland, Oregon. We have Melissa O'Neill from the Des Moines, Iowa Club, not Des Moines south of us, way to be. And we have Gabriel Rue from Honolulu Sunset Rotary. Came for the sunset, came for the sun here, and then we didn't have it for you. Sorry about that. We also have some guests, Goldie Singh, Carolyn Spieldenner, who's the guest of her husband Paul, who will be introduced today. We have Tori Bateman, guest of visiting Rotary Emily Cupo. And we have Gavin Sullivan, a guest of John Bridge and a prospective new member. We have Chan Mandahar, whose application is already in for membership, so that's in process. And then several friends to cheer on Rachel from the Seattle Chamber of Commerce. We have Jillian Hens, Lynette Buffington, Marie Hutchins, Lars Erickson, Sarah Clark, and Gabriela Bueno. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's time to introduce two new members, and we have two of our outstanding introducers here today. We have Jane Pryor for the first introduction and Faith Ireland for the second.
Thank you, President Nancy. It's my pleasure today to introduce you to one of our newest members, Paul Spieldenner. Classification Investments, and proposed by Paul Sy and Stephen Morse. No stranger to Rotary, Paul's grandfather and father were past presidents of their Rotary clubs, and Paul's younger brother was also a Rotarian. Paul grew up in Fremont, Ohio, near Toledo, and graduated from the University of Notre Dame with a degree in finance and Japanese. Paul spent his sophomore year abroad in Tokyo, immersing himself in Japanese culture and improving his Japanese language skills. Why Japan? Why Japanese? Well, Think about it, in the mid-1980s, when Paul was in college, business and industry in Japan was booming. Think Toyota, Sony, Honda, Mitsubishi. They were all up-and-coming companies at that time. And Paul recognized a business opportunity and prepared for it. After graduation, Paul spent the next 24 years as an institutional portfolio and investment manager. He worked for Morgan Stanley in New York, spent a year working in Tokyo, came back to the States and earned his MBA from the University of Chicago, and then returned to Tokyo for 6 years working for Fidelity Investments. Paul became friends with his proposer, Paul Tsai, when they realized they had both worked in Japan for Fidelity, but at different times. In 2014, Paul pivoted to personal investing in publicly traded companies. I had to say that really slowly because when I practiced, it was a real tongue twister with all those P's. As a member of our club's classification committee, I had the privilege to check Paul's references when he applied for membership to our club. They were stellar. They reported that Paul has exceptional integrity, he's honest and fair, and when he commits to doing something as a volunteer, he follows through as promised. On a more personal note, Paul enjoys skiing, music, he used to play the guitar, and live theater. The Spiel Dinners hold season tickets to the Paramount. Paul is also an avid Notre Dame football fan. Paul and his wife Carolyn, who is a special education elementary school teacher and is here with us today, live in Normandy Park, where they raised their 5 children. They met at Notre Dame at a Japan Club meeting. Guess what? Carolyn also studied Japanese. So the Spiel Dinners will celebrate their 35th wedding anniversary in July. I asked Paul, why Rotary? Why now? Well, when his children were younger and enrolled in Catholic elementary schools, he and Carolyn volunteered regularly. It's kind of a required volunteerism, I got the impression. But with their children now grown, Paul began looking for new volunteer opportunities. And based on his family experience with Rotary and an invitation from Paul Tsai, he started coming to our meetings. Paul also likes the educational aspect of Rotary and the collegiality of our members. So, here he is. Please join me in welcoming Paul Spieldenner to the Rotary Club of Seattle.
Good afternoon. Tucker Miner's classification is Business Consultants and Services. He was referred to the Rotary Club by his boss, former Rotarian Craig Dawson, President and CEO of Locksbox Merchant Services. Tucker Miner is a remittance system consultant. In plain English, that means he helps people get paid. He helps them streamline their payment process. In addition, he onboards new technology partners and clients and helps track marketing and sales activities for Lockbox. He worked as an account executive at DocuSign before Lockbox. Tucker grew up in Monterey, California, where his father was an attorney and administrative law judge. Tucker attended the University of Washington, playing baseball in freshman year. He graduated with a BA in sociology and earned a professional sales certificate from Foster School of Business. Tucker and his girlfriend, Lindsay, love to travel. This photo shows his girlfriend Lindsay, Tucker, and his dad and mom enjoying goat yoga at Kula, Maui. Sports came easily to Tucker. Here he is golfing at Old Head Golf Links while on a trip to Ireland. He started playing golf at age 5 and was immersed in golf, including years as a volunteer for community fundraising at the PGA. Tucker lives in Madison Park. He prides himself on being a good listener and having great dance moves. He also enjoys cooking. Here he is learning to make giant sushi after an online class with his sister, Lily. Please join me in welcoming Todd Miner into the Rotary fold.
Thank you so much, Jane and Faith, for those fabulous introductions. And I have not tried goat yoga, but I'm looking forward to that, as well as checking out the dance moves of Tucker and getting to know Paul with some of his volunteer talents. We are grateful for that. We gave each of you a pin, a Rotary pin that we all wear with pride. It connects you to the 1.6 million other Rotarians in the world. So we look forward to getting to know you better and getting to serve alongside you. Now we have President-elect John Bridge to introduce our keynote speaker.
Yeah, I like all these applause. You know, get applause for just standing up here. I better be careful. Well, I have the distinct honor to introduce to you, who you all probably know, a proud Rotary 4 member, Rachel Smith. Rachel Smith serves as the president and the CEO of the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, which represents, as we probably know, 2,500 businesses and about 750,000 employees here in the Puget Sound region. Rachel brings 20 years of government affairs, policy, operations, and advocacy experience to her job, including 13 years serving in local and regional government. Prior to her chamber role, she served as Deputy County Executive and Chief of Staff to King County Executive Dow Constantine. That certainly helps in her role as the CEO of the Metropolitan Seattle Chamber. Earlier in her career, she served as Government and Community Relations Officer for Sound Transit and in the administration of former Seattle Mayor Greg Nichols. During her time as president and CEO of the Metropolitan Seattle Chamber, Rachel has championed Seattle's minority-owned businesses through her advocacy work and dedicated programs. And under her direction, the Chamber has experienced a strong increase in membership, revenue, and overall value, and her support of resurgence of downtown Seattle has been just fantastic. One of the important things that we champion here in Seattle for. Currently, Rachel serves on the board of United Way of King County, the Association of Washington Business, and the Seattle Sports Commission. And in addition to that, our Alliance for Education, and that I have to give a plug for, and their gala coming up because I'm past chair of the Alliance for Education, which is our local education fund for the Seattle schools. So without further ado, Rachel Smith.
Well, thank you so much, John. It's always lovely to be introduced by somebody. I'm the president of the John Bridge Fan Club, so that's wonderful for me. And I want to say thank you to my fellow Rotarians on the program today and here in the room. And also want to give my kudos and thanks to Neil for his life of service. I have the pleasure of sitting next to him today. And again, just thank you all for having me. It really is a pleasure to be here. And I guess it's all okay that we're back inside after this very delightful summer weather that we've been having, although it was a bit of a shock this morning. But I am just really thrilled to have the opportunity to share some of my thoughts and observations with a friendly crowd, and want to spend my time today really making the case that here in our region, the sort of current state of our region, that the stakes are high, and that they're high because we made them that way, and that is a good thing. So that is the basis of what I want to talk about today. So as you might imagine, as CEO of the Seattle Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, I keep my finger on the pulse of all the happenings in the region. I talk to business leaders daily, from the largest tech companies in the world to the smallest neighborhood coffee shops. I work with government officials, I read polling, and I talk about politics. I work on policy, and I'm really out and about in the region quite a bit on events and tours and community. I'm spending the whole day in Everett and Edmonds tomorrow. And I can tell you, we are seeing a level of alignment in our community right now that I have not seen in a very long time. And I want to talk about that a little bit. First, the people in our community, the voters, they are actually aligned with each other. They are aligned on the issues that they're most concerned about: public safety, homelessness, drug use, affordability, transportation. And they are aligned on the solutions that they want to see. They want an all of the above approach. On public safety, for example, voters don't want to defund the police, and they don't want to lock everybody up and throw away the key. They want the right number of officers to meet response times, and alternatives to police, and reforms within police departments. That's what they want, and we know that from the results of our public opinion research project, The Index, which we do and release twice a year. And the business community is actually aligned with the voters right now. Those are our quality of life issues as well, and we also want an all-of-the-above approach to solutions. And we know that from our surveys of chamber members. It's important to note that all goes the other direction too, that alignment. The voters are actually also aligned with the business community. Our polling data from Seattle shows this, and I suspect it would be true looking at the entire region, but it shows that people support businesses being successful in the region. So our last index research showed that 86% of the voters believe that helping local businesses deal with public safety concerns would improve our quality of life here. And 78% think making Seattle a good place to do business would also help. Polling data also shows that voters trust the business community, especially when it comes to talking about the importance of downtown Seattle recovering, as John was just mentioning, really for the entire economic health of the entire region. Downtown is the center of that. Seattleites understand the relationship between our overall economic conditions and their personal economic situation in a way that I haven't seen in many years. They understand the ecosystem, truly, that people with good jobs can take care of their families, can pay taxes the government uses for services, and then can give back and invest back in their community. And that all starts with the good job. Okay, so we've got the people, the voters, we've got the business community, they're aligned, and now we have some really good elected officials in place as well. We have long had regional elected officials who support working in coalition and really getting the big things done, like County Executive Dow Constantine, County Executive Dave Summers. But here in Seattle, after this last election, we also now have a city council that is aligned with the voters and is aligned with each other, which is a good thing. Yeah, you can clap for that. And I would put forward to you today that none of that happened by accident. Speaking of the most recent election, so back in, rewind the tape here to 2021, when the chamber, we actually ended our political action committee and chose to focus on the issues, no longer endorsing candidates. That was not at all a retreat from the political. We have not been shy about encouraging employers and residents to participate in the election process. But by switching our focus to the issues rather than the who's up and who's down when it comes to candidates, we were able to communicate with residents that the choices that some people and some groups were putting in front of them, like I said earlier, defund the police, for example, or lock them up and throw away the key, those were false choices. We were able to show the voters that you can have progressive values and expect government to make progress on the issues. You can demand an all-of-the-above approach and not just settle for one part of the solution. That the false choices were designed intentionally to divide and to make people choose sides, when really it was nothing more than ideology and litmus tests and sort of the politics of division and boogeymen and things of that nature, and they were not effective. We see that now. This past election cycle in Seattle, the business community was highly engaged, and the election itself was a demonstration of big things happening when everybody contributes to the success of the outcome. To that end, the chamber, we did our part. We released polling and communications that really defined what the voters believed the issue environment was going to be for the candidates. So similar again to 2021, when we elected Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell, the index predicted in some ways the election results, particularly on public safety, homelessness, and affordability, with the candidates who were on the side of the voters outperforming opponents whose positions were, I'll say generously, less clear. Elected leaders like Seattle City Council President Sarah Nelson also did their part in this sort of big effort that we had, really endorsing candidates and actually actively campaigning and working for them. Many business leaders engaged with the campaigns, helping candidates connect to other business folks, giving money, lending their name, lending their support. The political consultants did all the things that they do, working to make sure that the voters knew the real story in terms of where candidates stood on the issues, especially around public safety. And then, of course, the successful candidates themselves, they worked hard, they stayed disciplined, and they really focused discipline on their campaign platforms and messaging. And real alignment with the voters is what determined the election results. And money expended on any side of that to make that alignment clear was money well spent. So the voters are aligned. Voters and businesses are aligned with each other. We've got elected leaders who are now aligned with both, meaning the time will never be better to address challenges, seize opportunities, and leave it all on the field to support a thriving regional economy. And that is one of the reasons that the stakes are high. We have thrown out kind of an old model which wasn't working and replaced it with one that is, yes, rooted in our values, but is also built on pragmatism and progress and partnership. And that's a good thing, but we also have to deliver. The stakes are also really high because of the issue environment that we are in right now. So at the federal level, we're looking at the presidential rematch that will increase pressure on our democracy, and I'll just leave it there for now. Statewide, there will be 3 citizen-led initiatives on the ballot this fall, and regardless of where you stand on those, they could have significant impacts for how the state has been doing its business and could really frustrate state leaders, which is, they're going to react to that. Regionally, we're seeing different economic activities and trends. Some are good, some are challenging, but they're impacting our hometown companies in really different ways. As we move further away from the murder of George Floyd, the work to fulfill the anti-racist commitments that we have all made individually and collectively is problematically moving down the priority list for too many groups and companies. And while the city of Seattle has a fresh-faced group of council members eager to make progress, the city has the most significant budget deficit in modern history, but at the same time, they haven't been getting the necessary results. So this means they're going to need to pull back on unsustainable spending while also investing in a way that does get results, and that's a really hard exercise. I've been in government almost 20 years, and I can tell you because we've done it. In addition to those things, Seattleites may see a new citizen initiative on the ballot this fall, which would increase the payroll tax on businesses with the intention of generating $50 million a year for a brand new housing authority that's called the Seattle Social Housing Public Development Authority. And the problem here is that the organization is already plagued with problems and they're really not even off the ground yet. I just feel like this is an extremely ill-advised endeavor right now. Continuing on that, public safety is getting better, but it's not good enough yet. Organized retail theft is still a huge problem with our members, and violent crime and shootings are on the front page of the newspaper every single day, and they are affecting far too many lives in our community. And perhaps most concerning for me, sort of as the chamber person in the room, is really the built environment, especially post-pandemic. Last year, Seattle saw the greatest decline in demand for office space among 7 of the largest American cities. When we think about retail downtown, and John, I'm looking at you, 3 out of 4 corners on 4th and Pike are empty. That's a problem. It's a real problem for us. And the construction pipeline is also drying up, meaning the economic activity, the jobs, and the taxes that it creates are also drying up. So those challenges are very real, and we have to do something about them. But the environment just needs to fuel us. That just needs to be the fuel that we use to make change. And as I think about that, again, we can put it in different categories. So the persistent work to make progress on quality of life issues like homelessness and public safety and affordability, that's the work our government and nonprofit partners like United Way do every single day. Working to make it easier, not harder, to open a business, construct a building, retain employees, keep customers safe, grow prosperity, that's the work the chamber does every single day. Creating jobs, delivering products and services to customers, and contributing to the economy, that's the work the business community does every single day. And being the first to offer partnership, to foster a good idea, to help when the right thing is the hard thing, and to celebrate leadership and progress, that's the work all of us, and especially all of the people in this room, do every single day. I say often, it takes a lot longer to build it back up than it does to tear it down. And that's the work that we're going to be doing together. We have to rebuild trust, and we have to get things done. We have eyes and expectations rightly on us, and we need to deliver. So, how are we going to build it back up? By thinking big, by embracing regionalism, working in coalition, and relentlessly pursuing progress. And we actually have been doing that, and I want to give you some examples. We celebrated huge milestones in our region in 2023, including the Seattle Convention Center Summit grand opening, the MLB All-Star Game, and the movie premiere of Boys in the Boat. I actually wore this jacket to that to celebrate the UW. And we know that more and more of those moments are coming in 2024 and 2025, 2026, and beyond. We have opportunities right in front of us to leverage into greater regional success. So looking forward to that, first, and this is absolutely the most exciting news, you probably heard John say that I worked at Sound Transit for many years. Light rail is opening on the east side on April 27th, so mark your calendar if you have not already. And light rail will open to Linwood in either August or September. They haven't given us the date yet. And even more light rail expansion is around the region is underway. And it's critical that we get that right. So we need people engaged in the planning for that. Second, and most obvious to everybody, the 2026 FIFA World Cup is going to be the equivalent of 6 Super Bowls. Seattle will be on the national stage, and the legislature just approved $21 million to start on the legacy investments that are going to be required for us to actually host an event such as this. This is also exciting for us, a significant opportunity for our workforce to learn new skills, to try out new industries and opportunities. And again, it's critical that we're ready to take advantage of it. And I will also say that I'm actually very curious about what all of you think. You know, what are the big next milestones from your perspective? Is it new infrastructure? Like, what's the next convention center, the next South Lake Union, the next Bell Red corridor, the next Climate Pledge Arena, the next aquarium, expansion? Is it solving an old problem with a new approach? I think a lot about rethinking the behavioral health system and how it's delivered in Washington State, or overhauling how ferries operate. You know, we at the Chamber want to hear from you, because working in coalition with partners is truly the only way to get big things done. And those partners need to bring a diversity of thought, a diversity of opinion, and a diversity of experiences to the table. You know, I am struck that it is, we rarely get it right when the group is too small and too narrow, too homogenous, or they're just not taking the time for buy-in and compromise. I'm all about urgency, but when a small group of people gets together with a very specific agenda, they can just kind of ram forward policies that end up having unintended consequences and honestly don't accomplish the goals at the level that we need them to. Versus when you work in coalition, you get the buy-in, you get the compromise and the consensus. That's when you can do things like put together, I don't know, a $56 billion light rail measure to go to the voters, to fundamentally upgrade Harborview. That's how you get a successful 2026 World Cup bid, is working in coalition. And that's the harder work, but it's also the right work. And that's another reason that the stakes are high, but it's also a good thing. And I think it's important to point out that all of this is not just thought exercise. Certainly, we try to provide at the Chamber, as do all of you, thought leadership in the region, but it's also actually doing the work. Winning over hearts and minds is important, but for myself, it's been more important to learn how to put my hands on the levers of politics and policy and the economy to actually make change. I'm an optimist, pragmatist, regionalist, and I believe in putting your shoulder in, carving off a piece of the problem, and wrestling it to the ground. And we can do that because we have the alignment, the environment, and the opportunities right now to do it. And I just think to myself, what an incredible recipe for success. And we're going to do our part here at the Chamber. We are going to host high-quality opportunities for people to interact. We're going to convene. We're going to have programming that will inspire and refresh and encourage our regional workforce and leaders. We're going to work tirelessly on economic development with strategies to better include those who haven't historically had equitable outcomes. We're going to advocate for progress on the quality of life issues that our employees experience, like homelessness, public safety, and affordability. We're going to convene and we're going to sit at the tables where the decisions are being made. And we're going to be the civic boosters and the cheerleaders for all the exciting things that are happening in our region. And we're going to create opportunities for all of you to engage. I'm just about at time, but I did want to just give you a quick hot off the presses. I don't know if anybody saw my lovely assistant Marie come over and bring me a piece of paper, but I talked a little bit about our polling that we put out twice a year. and we just got some back, and I don't have it all ready, but I did just want to share a couple of things, sort of a sneak peek, if you will, and we'll be rolling this out over the next couple of weeks, but I just wanted to share a couple of nuggets. So again, this is our public opinion research called the Index, and for the past couple of years, we've seen voters very concerned about things like public safety, homelessness, affordability, as I said, and we've seen a strong majority of the voters saying things like the city is on the wrong track. So we've seen a majority of voters saying things like that. Well, our latest data shows a little bit of light at the end of that tunnel. While those issues are still the top concerns, and while the right track, wrong track, as it's known, numbers are still not where we want them to be, we are definitely seeing some indicators that people are taking a little bit more of an optimistic view. So when one of our questions was, when asked, I quote, "I'm worried about the future of downtown Seattle." Still a solid 80% of people agree with that statement, but that is down 5 percentage points since just October. And I think that we don't see shifts that big and that quickly unless something meaningful is happening. Another one, all things considered, growth and development has been a positive for my area. 58% of people agree, again, up 5% since October, meaning people are feeling good about growth and development and the activity that they're seeing. We asked if you're proud to call yourself a Seattleite. 73% of people agree, up 5% since last October. So these are real nuggets. Again, we usually don't see shifts that substantial, and this one I think is also really important. When asked, I trust the Seattle City Council to reform the Seattle Police Department without endangering public safety, 10% more people agree with this new council can get the job done than the previous one. So I think that is also good news. So I hope those little nuggets of data give you a little bit of inspiration. They do me. And again, we'll be rolling more of that out over the next couple of weeks. So thank you again for having me, and I'm happy to answer all your questions.
Thank you so much, Rachel. The first question is going to come from me because I have the microphone. I have 3 young children who are wildly enthusiastic little advocates. And I often find that we are training adults to advocate because they weren't illustrated that as children. So is the Seattle Chamber doing anything to show youth that it's okay to advocate, or show so you have a more diverse pool as they enter the working years of their lives?
That is a fantastic observation, and really we don't. And I think that that is something that we should talk about, because it's a lot easier to train the young ones than it is to train us older dogs. So that's a great thought. And as John mentioned, I am also a part of Alliance for Education, so there might be some opportunities for partnership there. And particularly with the World Cup and some of these really exciting things that are coming, what a great opportunity to get young people invested in both making it happen and then celebrating the success. Love that.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you so much for your optimism. It's really refreshing to hear. We have a question right here from Jan.
Hi, Rachel, and thank you for being here. I'm curious if the Chamber is doing any sort of work around encouraging people back into their downtown offices.
Ooh, you know we are. we are doing a lot. So we actually, gosh, I don't remember, Lars, when we did that survey. We did it last May. Okay, we did a return to office survey just to understand kind of what was happening. I mean, in the good news, we actually saw more people are back at least 3 days a week than we thought before. And interestingly, we also learned that things like free lunch and pizza and that kind of stuff, people like that, but really meaningful team time was one of the most sort of motivating things for employees to come back to work. And we're happy to share out that survey. But yes, we're doing a lot, and I guess I will also say, you know, our numbers right now, just so folks know, are hovering between 50 and 60% of pre-pandemic in terms of office workers coming downtown, and we've been hovering there for quite some time. You know, when we talk to CEOs, there's also been some studies on this. More and more they are saying that they are going to be having expectations of people coming back into the office. And I think, you know, for the reality is for many people, it is just re-exercising those muscles. So using some of the fun stuff that we have going on to get people back in that habit of coming downtown or taking that bus that they usually take can sometimes be the biggest. I could talk about this for another 20 minutes, but yes, we're doing a lot of work and working closely with the rest of our employer community on that. And I guess last thing I'd say is, like, flexibility is here to stay, and that's a good thing, but we also need people coming downtown.
Thank you. Next question is from Bill Center.
Rachel, we're so proud to have you as a member of our club, and an unexplained phenomenon here at Seattle Rotary is we're always shocked when one of our own members gets up there and just blows us away with a great presentation. So you've done it, you've carried on the tradition.
Oh, thank you.
But you didn't mention two things I consider kind of a big deal, and I know you too. One is tourism.
Yes.
And the other one is our new waterfront. And I think one of the challenges we have, and I come downtown as often as I can, I try to make it at least once a week, and sometimes more often. I'm very disappointed when I walk around the streets and the only other people on the streets are tourists. And I try to be as friendly and helpful as I can, but you can tell they're a little bit dismayed that, you know, when they ask somebody a question, the only answers they get, I don't live here. You know, we need to find ways, not just for the workers to come back to office, but to entice people to come back downtown for other reasons, especially during the tourist season.
Yeah.
I know we have Seafair, but maybe we could have some other events and festivals downtown, and maybe to coincide with the opening of the East Side Light Rail to come down and things like that.
Yep.
So in the morning when people are leaving their hotels to go down to Pike Place, they see some friendly local faces, not just people from Sheboygan.
Absolutely agree. First of all, I love those people from Sheboygan. They should come too. We want, I think in the absence of some office workers, having some tourists here still fills the streets, which is a good thing from a public safety perspective. But I will say that I agree with you completely. I think the waterfront is going to have incredible opportunities. And Joy Shigaki, if you don't know her, who now runs Friends of the Waterfront, she is fantastic. The programming that they have planned is going to be designed to do just that. It is not just for tourists. It is really for the residents here. And I think it's going to be a huge draw. And of course, the aquarium. And I am the proudest brand new aquarium board member. Thank you, Bob. I just went to my first meeting. So I think, that is also, that is going to anchor the entire waterfront. So I think those kinds of things. Also, think about the Taylor Swift concert, baseball games. We can really leverage those to bring people down. And we see it happening. Again, it's exercising those muscles again, but I'm totally here with you. And we're working with, a lot of our partners, Downtown Seattle Association and others, to try to make that happen.
All right, Rachel, thank you so much.
Stay here for just a second. So Rachel, in appreciation for your presentation, we have made a contribution in your honor to Harvest Against Hunger of 600 portions of nutrient-dense produce. Awesome stuff.
So much. That is awesome.
And we're grateful to have you as one of our members and hope to see you and enjoy time with you around more often. So thank you. And Rachel, next time you speak, you'll be able to say that we no longer have the term organized retail theft in our vocabulary, okay? That wasn't part of what we went into business with to have that be a concern, okay? And a couple points I just wanted to, that I just love from her thoughts was all of us thinking about relentlessly pursuing progress. And it's all of us. It's not just saying, what's the chamber doing? What's the mayor? What's the city council? All of us relentlessly pursuing progress. We need to rebuild trust, and we need to just get things done. And she's got the energy. She's encouraging us. We can do it too. And lastly, I loved her line, making Seattle a good place to do business. So inspiring. We just are grateful for your time. And we are also grateful for our two sponsors of our club, Joel Farrell and Bloodworks Northwest, help support us with their contributions. We're grateful on that. And now, Sergeant of Arms Jen Gladish will provide our announcements.
Hello. I know we're all inspired to get out in the community and make some progress, so I have some specific dates where you can start doing that if you are not already. The first thing is March 27th, our Wellspring Family Services Day. I'd like to start with the fun story, though. Rachel and I happened to be introduced on the same day during Jeff Bork's presidency, and I would like to petition for a redo because in person is way more fun, but we could do that another day. But the first in-person event that I had ever attended was a Wellspring Family Services Day, and the morning started with me calling my Rotarian sister and saying, Jess, I'm gonna wake up 2 hours early and I'm gonna get really ready because I'm gonna find my next husband. I did not, but I got to meet Einer, and we volunteered, and we folded baby clothes, and it was super fun. So you should make it there. That is from 12:20, maybe 12:30, but it's okay to get there early, to 1:30 at Wellspring Family Services on Rainier Ave. It's really fun. I promise you, the work that is done there is incredible to see. And then on April 3rd, we have our meeting with the Secretary of State, Steve Hobbs. This is one that we are asking for you to RSVP for, so we make sure we have enough plates of food to feed you all. So please do that as soon as you can. April 10th is our evening member event at the Rotary Boys and Girls Club from 6 to 7:30. This will be super fun. I don't know where this is at. Mary, Goldie, are you in the room? Check the website, like I always tell you. I don't know where that one is, but I hope I see you all there. And then on the 13th, we have Rotary Boys and Girls Club Day of Service. So this will be super fun too. 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. We'll be sprucing up the club inside and out. And again, I think that's at our club. The Rotary Boys and Girls Club. I don't have the address on here. Both events, oh, Jan Levy, this is why we love you. Both events are at our Rotary Boys and Girls Club. And then April 17th, our always highly anticipated and well-attended annual diplomacy lunch meeting. It's super fun. That's at the West End. Please don't miss that one. Thanks.
Thank you, Jen. Last Wednesday, we had a wonderful turnout with our evening with Cisco. So most everybody just knows him by his first name, and he was amazing. We learned about gardening, and we were fascinated by his gift for storytelling. Our district governor, Kai Ped, that's his nickname, Kai Pedersen, he joined us for the evening, gave a little talk to fill us in on some district initiatives, and he got to chat with many of the more than 60 people that were in attendance that night. The next day, he proudly sent me a thank you note with a selfie that he took with a picture with Cisco. So he knew who Cisco was. I just had invited him to join one of our evening events, and I was thrilled that he was thrilled to meet Cisco. So that was fun. And our member, Fedva Dickman, was the one that invited Cisco to join us. So we're grateful for Fedva's friendship with Cisco. The next evening, Bill Center and Virginia McKenzie grabbed 10 of us together to go to the Crocodile. Many of you may have heard of that over the years, in Belltown, and we participated in a pub choir where we learned a 3-part harmony of a classic Whitney Houston song, okay? So you saw Bill Center. Did you think that was probably what he was going to be doing on a Thursday night? No. But he was rocking it, and he stood up when he needed to and sat down when he needed a rest, and we produced a video. So those of us who participated can show you a video, and we'll try to be humble. And we were near the front of the room, so all of our friends in Seattle saw us there, so that was pretty cool. So I brought up this story not to have you feel left out, but Rotarians know how to have fun. And I'm proud of some of the fun things we do together and a great way to get to know each other, and I'm glad to be a Rotarian. We are adjourned.